So we practiced a higher order component, and let's practice a hook now. We can do the same things, the same functionality with hook as well. In hooks, there's a naming convention, and the name is starting with, let's create the module. The name starts with use, and let's say this is use hover.js. Again, this is going to be a function, use hover, and in this function, we are going to use React's hooks, and one of them is use effect. So first let's import use effect from React. This hook will be called with the node. We are going to listen the mouse over and out event. So we will be taking node as parameter, and in this effect we will be adding event listener for the node. Add event listener mouse over, and in the mouse over we are going to be setting a state, and similarly we will be having event listener for mouse out. So we are going to keep track of the mouse over and out information, and just like we have this state on, we will have a state in this hook as well. So let's import use state. Then we will have, let's say this is again on, and there is setter, set on, and use state. Initially it is false. So whenever mouse over, we call set on as true, and whenever mouse out, we set on false. And in this effect, since we are using an external dependency, we are going to define this dependency array, and we pass this node to it. Then this function is basically going to return this on. And let's export default use hover, saving it. Now we are going to use this one in a language selector. The hooks can be used only in functional components. We cannot use this one in the sign up page. So we will be using this one, just like using this use translation, we will use this use hover in language selector. So just importing use hover from this use hover module. And we are going to use hover, and we will be calling with a node, and as a result we are going to get the value for on. So this can be true or false. But first we need to pass a reference to it. So let's do it like this. Let's change this React fragment to a div, and we are going to take the reference of this element, this exact element, and in hover we are going to add event listeners to this div. So we need to import another hook from React, and that is use ref from React. So we have a, let's say this is ref, use ref, and we use it right here. Every element has this ref property, and we assign the ref, use ref to it. Then we will be passing ref current to it. Then here, instead of looking for a prop, we are going to check this on, because whenever this is changed in the, it's going to be returning new value of it, and this is going to be re-rendering the component. Let's save this one. So this is failing because initially the node is undefined. So we can do something like this: if node, if there's node, if it's not undefined, then add the event listeners. Now it is working, and if we hover here, we can see this is updating this value. setting on as true or false. And since this value, this state is changed, this is also changed, and based on this one, we are updating the layout. We still have this with hover, so let's remove that one. We no longer need that. So let's save it. If we check the components right here, there's no with hover, and here in the hooks part we have this hover hook, and it is saying the state is false, and whenever I hover on it, the state turns to true. So the hook version of the same behavior is like this. In hook, we don't have UI related parts. It doesn't render anything. It's more about functionality. But the downside of the hook is now our component is tied with it because it is part of the code now. So the main purpose is both of them are used to extract the repeating functionality from components and to reuse them whenever necessary.